We stay at the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit for race number 5, and this one will be once again 5.9 kilometres around this gorgeous racetrack. 18 turns here for 9 laps. Our expectation is around about 18 minutes of racing, 20 minutes if it has to go time certain. It's about 53 odd kilometres the journey. They have a maximum fuel capacity of 111. They only start with 65 litres of fuel. It's not a fuel race. They only require just a little over 40 litres. They'll burn about 4.6 litres per lap. And if they do have to drive through here, it's about 20 seconds. Hotspots, there's plenty of them around this racetrack. As we just saw, it's very easy, particularly on the long load corners around here, to run very wide. We didn't have a safety car in the last one. We may see the Vodafone safety car in this one, and I was kind of basing my high probability on what we saw last week. Now, the considerations, as you just pointed out, Jess, this one is a reverse grid. There is a compulsory pit stop for tyres. The win is 75 points. The predicted window, well, you could come in as early as lap 1 if you want to, and you want to get the most out of the tyres. You probably need to close that window by about lap number 6. Pit lane speed limit also now this week, 55 kilometres an hour at Silverstone.
You know what it means when we've got more laps? It means more mayhem. And with a reverse grid, Maddie, as we take a look at the Truck Assist starting grid, Mark Winterbottom and Chris Pither will start on the front row tonight, which means that our race winners and those that ended up on the podium in race 4 of the Eseries Championship will be trying to make their way through the field tonight. That is Anton De Pasquale, Max Verstappen, Shane Van Gisbergen, Scott McLaughlin. Say no more. It is going to be chaos.
Imagine what Max Verstappen's thinking. How cool is this? I just got on the podium in a supercars race. Oh, I now start right down the back. Let's take a look at this Truck Assist starting grid, as you mentioned, Jess. So the Irwin racer and Mark Winterbottom on pole position. Chris Pither will start from second. Jake Kostecki third, with Jack Smith in position number 4. Macaulay Jones has Jamie Whincup alongside him, 5 and 6. Lee Holdsworth and Rick Kelly, positions 7 and 8. Jack LeBrock there with Cameron Waters. Pretty quiet in that one. He just didn't have it all going on for him, and a little bit of trouble to get around. Cam, Scott Pye and Todd Hazel will go 11 and 12. Midfield we go for Bryce Fullwood and Fabian Coulthard, another man who's had some experience here at Silverstone. Alex Davison and Zane Goddard. Now Will Brown filling in for David Reynolds with Nick Percat, the Dunlop Super Dealer Commodore, Brad Jones Racing. There's Will Davison, position 19. Gary Jacobson, solid performance for him. Andre Heimgartner was in the mix all the way there. So too was Chaz Mostert. Scott McLaughlin, position 23, with Shane Van Gisbergen, 24. There is Max Verstappen on the last row of the grid with our race winner, Anton De Pasquale. So, as Neil mentioned, longer one this one, 9 laps. So, reverse grid start. They will pit. 28 seconds, we believe, is the total pit time. A transit of 20 seconds and 8 seconds for tyres. Bit of refuelling there for Scotty Mack.
Couple of things to keep in mind. There are incident points accrued. So light contact, track limits, losing control and hard contact all accrue points. It's a longer race. They will accrue for some of these drivers. They will start on a line locker, just as it is in real racing, effectively using a handbrake to load these cars, find the bite point and get away from the start. From the pole position for Irwin Racing, it is Mark Winterbottom, Charlie Schwerkolt's driver. Coca-Cola Racing, Chris Pither, the Kiwi, position number 2. Car number 344 is Jake Kostecki. We're waiting for Anton to join the field.
So effectively, Neil, you log on, and that's when the car appears. So maybe a little technical glitch for Anton joining this.
Set to go racing once more. The longer race at Silverstone. The second time we see supercars at this famous venue. Great start for Mark Winterbottom. Drops the clutch nicely. Bryce Fullwood, a ripper on the inside from the dirty side of the racetrack. Cold tyres for everybody. And Kostecki moves up to second position. Macaulay Jones for Cool Drive. Big sprint car sideways action at turn 1, but he gets away with it.
Jack Smith got it bogged down off the start in the SCT Logistics Commodore, and he made contact, heavy contact, with another car as Macaulay tries to find the track. He's all over the place off the start. There's plenty of them going off left, right and centre.
He's got no rear wing on the Cool Drive Commodore, so the centre of pressure on that car's gone dramatically forward. It'll be ugly to drive. It will behave as though the rear wing's genuinely missing. So Winterbottom, a nice start, but a great start also for Bryce Fullwood. We'll see what happens as they shake out.
Wait till you see Fabian Coulthard's move. I'm pretty sure he's just grabbed the lead off Mark Winterbottom. He dived down the inside there as Macaulay Jones. Oh, so Fabian's gone off. He did get the lead, but then he's gone off. Winterbottom gets the lead back. He's got Jake Kostecki now behind him with Chris Pither in third, Jamie Whincup in fourth. It was a brave move from Fabian. He took a deep, deep, deep dive. This one could end ugly. Di Pasquale on the inside of McLaughlin.
So remember that they've come off a warm tyre at the end of the first race and gone straight back onto a cold tyre. And every time we've taken a shot on that opening lap, there's tank slappers aplenty. People getting in trouble everywhere. Alex Davison was one of them in the local legends entry. So looking above the Penrite Racing Holden Commodore here, remembering this week that we've got Will Brown in for David Reynolds, and there's more chaos. So that was Coulthard, and there's a Red Bull car that's been tweaked here as well.
Pretty sure that's
disappeared off to the inside of the racetrack, and I think it was Jamie who started from position number 6, row number 3. So a lot of cars going every which way, and again Alex Davison off the racetrack.
Max.
Well, I think that was Max. Was that Verstappen in the background that actually made the contact? It looked as though it may have been.
Oh.
It's McLaughlin's
Can I
voice
have
we
black
can hear in
flex
the background.
cleared? I was avoiding a pit-in.
So twice a winner in the first round. Scott McLaughlin in the background. That was his voice that we were picking up. He was second at Michigan Speedway in the IndyCar e-racing series earlier in the week, and he's in now to get the compulsory stop done. Macaulay Jones off the edge of the road as well. So they are shunting left, right, centre. I started to write them down and I gave up at the second syllable.
Encyclopedia, thick book to get all those in. Mark Winterbottom has the race lead. Shane Van Gisbergen, who we can focus on there, is in position number 7. Where's Verstappen? Currently in 13th.
Was it him that was involved in one of those shunts? It looked like the colours of his car. So Shane's been calling him Pastor Maldonado, or Pastor, who was the winner. It was.
I reckon it was.
So had a little bit of damage done at the front, the left, the right, the rear. About the only thing that's left intact at the moment is the roof and maybe the gurney flap on the rear wing.
BP Ultimate Cleanup replay. Oh, that was a big one. That was huge as well.
I think that was Will Davison, the other party involved in that, the Milwaukee Racing entry. And he vanished into thin air off the back of it, which is exactly what you'd want to do. And I dream a genie blink to disappear if you're actually in the middle of a thing like that.
Watch this.
Oh, get that into you, Jamie.
Jamie's just done the spin around that Rick Kelly did at Phillip Island, but he managed to stay on the ground. And there's Scott McLaughlin going heavy into the wall. A lot of BP cleaning up to do after that one. So on lap 2 out of 9, Mark Winterbottom, who started on pole position, continues to hold the race lead.
So the first car in the queue, Matt, that's actually stopped is Will Brown for Penrite Racing. He's sitting in 17th position at the moment. But 2/3 of the field have not yet stopped is Fabian Coulthard. No obvious bruises after a pretty nasty shunt. And he's tucked in behind Shane Van Gisbergen at the moment. So they're 6th and 7th. And then we've got in the Dunlop Super Dealers entry, Nick Percat behind for Brad Jones Racing. Bryce Forward there as well, who got off to a decent start, but he must have got tangled up in some of the madness because he looked as though he was elevating in the top 3 or 4 positions. Bit of a lock-up for Mark Winterbottom, who's got pressure at the moment from Jake Kostecki, who was missing from action in our second race last weekend. I don't think he got logged on. Digs a bit of a divot on the exit. Drops the right rear off on the corner of the racetrack. So it's Winterbottom over Kostecki. Officially the margin showing is 0.18. There's both the drivers on screen. Tries to round him up on the outside, Jake Kostecki. He did a nice job last week as well. Weren't for the fact that he had that difficult run in that not getting logged on. He was 5th in the first race, 9th in our third race. So had he been able to get into the game for the second race, chances are he'd be in the top 10 in the points at the moment.
Our drivers this evening are also have some added incentive thanks to Armour All. There's $1,000 which will go to the round winner, the driver who accrues the most points over tonight's 4 races. $1,000 will go to the round winner's designated charity. Jake Kostecki has designated Ability Centre for his charity, and Mark Winterbottom, the Breast Cancer Foundation. It's a great initiative. Thanks to Armour All for delivering that $1,000 to our round winner. So the 2 Penrite cars have ganged up. Will Brown ahead of Anton Di Pasquale. As you mentioned, Crompo, both of these guys have now stopped. Jack just appears right in front of him.
What about Will's story? So he only got his sim on Sunday, so he hasn't had, and he's done about 4 gazillion laps since then. He was the 2016 Formula 4 champion here in Australia, 2017 Toyota 86 Racing Series champion in 2017. He's made a big name for himself reputationally already as a young driver. He's only 21 years of age, and he joined the real series for the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship in 2018, riding with Anton, his teammate, who makes a clean run down the inside and gets it done very nicely. He's from Toowoomba in Queensland. And that move done very nicely by Anton De Pasquale, who picked up maximum points in that previous race. Somebody just speared off into the weeds in the background. Winterbottom's still got the lead by 1.2 seconds now over Cam Waters. So Pertec pit reporters are observing in the background. I bet they've been busy boys trying to track what's going on. Let's check in with Chad and Jonathan.
Yeah, we've got our own iRacing machine down here in Melbourne, Neil, which we can use sort of like an old school VCR. And Jonathan, we've been burning the tape to try and figure out what's going on. Let's start with Max Verstappen. He's on screen right now. Busy lap for him to get going.
Very busy. Had a lot of contact on the opening lap. Thankfully, not too much damage for the young man. So I think he should be able to keep pedaling away here. Although he's got a pit stop to make, if I'm not mistaken. He has made it. And I think at the moment, Anton De Pasquale could be leading this race. Let's wait till everybody makes their stop. But he seems to be out in the front for the moment.
And Scott McLaughlin tried to do a slowdown on the hanger straight, got picked up by Macaulay Jones, so it sent him a long way back, and he was really barking on Twitch to his race engineer, really angry with how that played out. And just to cover off the point about Anton De Pasquale bringing in the big guns, he's got Brody Kostecki, the man who sets up these cars. Heimgartner has a little moment there as his race engineer tonight.
Thanks for the update, boys. Keep tracking it. We'll come back to you during the evening. So Fabian Coulthard now trying to put a move on Andre Heimgartner, who had it all cranked sideways 2 corners back there. So Winterbottom's still leading. He's yet to stop. There are, in fact, I think he's just in now. So there's 4 or 5 drivers, Matty, that haven't yet stopped. Jack LeBrock on screen here, winner of race number 2 at Phillip Island, Super Cheap Auto Racing and Tickford Racing. He's one of the drivers that's actually got some experience at this location in preparation for the 2011 Formula Ford Festival, which is held every year at Brands. He had a run at Silverstone. So we go back and pick up Alex Davison, local legends entry, car number 19, Team Sydney. And he's tucked in behind Jack LeBrock. Kelly in the background, who's afforded himself some new screens this weekend so that he's got a better view of all the action. We spoke to him earlier in the week, the Castrol Racing Garage, and he's done a mighty job to put together a pretty wild sim.
Garage? It's a suburb.
It is a suburb. And he's got lots of gear down there. He's got motorcycles and toys and boats and all sorts of things. And he's not fully up to speed in the iRacing world at the moment, but he's having a heap of fun.
He did make an interesting point to you guys on the panel too, which you've made, and a lot of the drivers are saying that you just don't get that feel like you normally do through your bump. Basically, this is very hand-eye coordination stuff, and that's the part that a guy who's been around for a long time, done what, 555 races in the category, is struggling with.
Got a lot of pressure at the moment from Max Verstappen, so he'll have the race face on. But yeah, what happens with the game is by the time it's out of shape, it's too late. In the real race car, the feeling in the middle ear, in the seat of your pants, in the palm of your hands is telegraphed instantaneously, and that's the art form, trying to understand what the race car's trying to tell you and the grip levels that it has at both the front and the rear. With the game, it's much harder to read. Doesn't make it any easier. It's a real genuinely difficult discipline in its own right, but it's very different to being involved in the race car. But I've got to say, these iRacing graphics are absolutely spectacularly accurate and very good. Now Rick at the moment is getting tortured by a Grand Prix winner. Max Verstappen is tucked right under the rear wing of the Mustang, but not for long. Cleanly down the inside and puts a nice move together. And that brings him up another spot now into 18.
What did we say at the start? Aggressive, competitive. This guy's a winner. And that's your point. That was for 18th position. It was like it was for the race lead. He was just all over the back of the Castrol Racing Mustang. So our leaders have now come in. Yes, Winterbottom, Van Gisbergen, Hazelwood and Fullwood.
This is the last 4 that need to take their compulsory stop. So 20 seconds to transit, 8 seconds odd to be able to get those wheels and tyres on, and then they rejoin once more. Nice opening stint there from Mark Winterbottom. who is also one of the vastly experienced drivers in our Virgin Australia Supercars Championship field, a Bathurst winner, a series champion. Shane van Gisbergen exits that pit lane. Remember, the configuration at Silverstone has changed several times over the years as we pick up on Shane once more. He said to me last week that he's been gaming for a while, but he's only really taken this genuinely seriously in the last couple of weeks when he realised that he had to. Cold tyres now for Mark Winterbottom as he rejoins as well.
So that puts the 20-year-old Jake Kostecki in the NTI Matt Stone Racing Commodore at the lead of this race. There he is, car 344, Cam Waters behind him in second. So the field has been cleansed. Everybody's processed through pit lane. The compulsory stop is done. Lap 6 out of 9. And we've got the youngster leading the race. Waters is second. De Pasquale is third. He's got his teammate, Will Brown, behind him. Then it's Van Gisbergen, Winterbottom, McLaughlin, Zane Goddard, Andre Heimgartner and Fabian Coulthard make up our top 10. Max Verstappen currently in 18th after starting on the rear of the grid in this reverse grid race after claiming a podium in his first race in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. You're watching Cam Waters and Jake Kostecki go to work here at Silverstone.
133 supercar race starts for Waters in the Monster Energy Ford Mustang. 5 race starts for Jake Kostecki in the Matt Stone Racing NTI entry. So a vast difference. He's done 4 years in Dunlop Super 2, Jake, and he's about to be attacked down the inside by Cam Waters, who didn't quite get it done. Nice work, though, for Shane van Gisbergen, who's come out the other side of the stop looking pretty effective. So Jake's done an excellent job here, and he's one of these youngsters that seems to just instantaneously adapt to the task.
So they're coming up on the Red Bull Holden of Jamie Whincup, who's actually down in position number 24.
Jamie's had a ropey start, hasn't he? It's been a difficult run for him. When I spoke to him last week, prior to the first round, he had about 2 hours prior to qualifying, and he said, I'm on the tools, I'm trying to put this thing together, and I'm literally racing to the grid.
Well, he got some help from Shane as well, didn't he? So he put out a bit of an SOS, Van Gisbergen from across the ditch, helping him out with a few tips about the technology that he's using, and this is what the E-Series does. It can level the field. It puts a 20-year-old, effectively a rookie, in the race lead. But here comes Cam.
And I think Will Brown may have been, if he didn't get the move on, he went very close to it in the background. In fact, he has, on Shane van Gisbergen. So, as I said before, Shane's trundling along pretty nicely here at the moment, up in 4th, but he's just had Will Brown sneak on by. It's early days for Will in E-Series racing. Dunlop curb cam, just like it is in the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship, gives you a bird's eye view of what a tonne and a half of supercar looks like over the top of the Vallelunga curbing. Kostecki, Waters, De Pasquale, Van Gisbergen, Brown. That's the top 5 at the moment, and big pressure between first and second.
And I'll tell you who's approaching them at warp speed is Shane van Gisbergen. He is throwing this Red Bull Holden around. He wants another podium here. The battle for the lead is intense. The battle behind them is full of speed. Kostecki doing a great job here, holding off Cam Waters.
He's covered him. Left some space this time. I think he's got it. He's far enough up. Is there? And there is, in fact, contact. So that's just punched Jake Kostecki a little wide. But he was far enough up, I would think, to have been able to make that move effectively. And just again, as it is in the real car, it becomes quite difficult sometimes to get a true sense in your peripheral vision of where the other car is because of the way in which the roll cage is configured in the car. You're wearing a hands device, the wings on the seats, visibility is limited out of these cars, so there's a little bit of braille involved sometimes in trying to feel your way past another car. So Cam Waters gets it done. He moves up now, and in fact he's cleared away ever so slightly by about 1/3 of a second.
He's driving for Camp Quality as his designated charity, so these 75 points, if he can hold it for the next lap and a half, will put him in good stead for the overall round winner of this evening. Don't forget, we're heading straight to Barcelona. The Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya next for races 6 and 7. A short one to start with, then a longer one to finish with. But this is not done yet. because you're riding with Shane van Gisbergen. I mentioned he was coming at him fast. Well, he's joined them now.
He's getting him a tap.
Pasquale, he's turned him around, got him again.
Actually straightened him up as well. So
Pushed him on his way.
He instantaneously redressed. Whether that was intentional or just a handy accident, I'm not 100% certain. But nice work, Shane. So he's pressed on. A little bit of virtual brake duct damage, a little bit of virtual rad damage, and away he goes. We'll have a look at a replay here in just a tick. So Shane van Gisbergen had speed. Let's have a look once more. So he's right under the rear wing of Anton De Pasquale. Gives him a nudge in the right rear corner.
He jumped on the brakes.
Corner. Yeah, jumped on the brakes and put himself back in position. And look at that. Front of that Red Bull car looks absolutely spanking brand new. Now, our driving standards advisor has been studiously watching all the action. It's a very good evening and welcome from Queensland to Craig Baird. What are your thoughts on that one, Beardo?
Hey guys, that's got Van Gisbergen written all over it. He just had the time and the nous to actually think about what he had done. He knew he was in the right, gave it a little bit of time, actually left hand locked down, squared Anton up, and it's a play on in the virtual wheel. It would be very different in the real world. They'd both have a bit of damage, but this is great racing. There's big improvement throughout the whole field.
There is, yeah. I think there could have been a little bit of panel damage had it been reality. They might have been back in the pit lane to straighten the snout up on car number 97. Thanks for that, Craig. We'll catch up with you again a little bit later in the evening. Craig, for those that don't know, is our regular driving standards advisor in the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship and a former champion race driver in his own right. He has raced very successfully at Silverstone and racetracks all around the world. Anton De Pasquale's on screen here at the moment. He's on for a podium. It might be his second for the evening. Cam Waters, who's been threatening, in good shape here at the moment. He's second coming into this round, only 43 points adrift. And there he is, bottom right-hand side of screen. Monster Energy Ford Mustang. And a margin that's opening at the moment out to Jake Kostecki. It's just over 1 second.
He was on the podium twice in the first 3 races last week with a third and a second. And he's on track here for that 75 points. As you mentioned, Prompo came in here to this evening second in the championship. He's looking good here, Cam Waters, holding off Jake Kostecki and Anton De Pasquale. Started the regular Virgin Australian Supercars Championship with a 6th and 3rd at the Superloop Adelaide 500. Was 17th in the first race here earlier tonight at Silverstone. Boy, hasn't he bounced back.
He's got a little bit of panel rash on the left-hand side of that car as well. So in the closing stages now for Cam Waters. He's done an outstanding job. Jake Kostecki on for a podium, as is Anton De Pasquale, but Shane van Gisbergen's mounting another challenge here. Quite a gap then back to Scott McLaughlin. That's about 4 3/4 seconds for the Shell V-Power Racing entry. And then Will Brown, Mark Winterbottom, Fabian Coulthard, Andre Heimgartner, Todd Hazelwood for Plus Fitness and Brad Jones Racing is in 10th position. Back to our race leader, car number 6. And he is in very good shape here. As Matt said, it's 75 points for the victory. And he has greeted the checkered flag, and he's done it with a very handy margin, 1 1/4 seconds over Jake Kostecki. I'm a little bit wary of that checkered flag now, once bitten, twice shy.
Well, Cam's not. Thankfully, I think he knows the race is well and truly done. And that's the virtual burnout. You just throw it wherever you want because you're not going to damage anything. You don't have to explain a check to your boss, and he will celebrate the victory. And Jake Kostecki has a bit of fun as well. So well done to the 20-year-old. He's on the podium here. Cam Waters gets the victory. De Pasquale also on the podium after winning that first race here this evening. Shane van Gisbergen, wow, he started on the second last row of the grid. He just never lets up. Scotty McLaughlin, Will Brown, good performance from Will, stepping in for David Reynolds, and Todd Hazelwood round out our top 10 on race number 5 of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Lee Holdsworth there in 15th. So Max Verstappen finished in position 18 after starting on the last row of this reverse grid. Will Davison and Jamie Whincup down the back end. Take a look at the Koala race highlights. A little bit more action in this one. Watch Jack Smith on the left-hand side there. He gets bogged down heavily, and then he'll spear off to his left, our right, and it causes contact with another car. There he goes, bang. So that was straight off the start, but a good start by Mark Winterbottom in the Irwin Tools racer. Starting from pole position, courtesy of the reverse grid. He held that position well, and then, wow, Jamie Whincup just got turned around massively. Scotty McLaughlin found the wall massively at the front. Jake Kostecki and Cam Waters, after the pit stops were done and dusted, Jake managed to find his way to the front, but he had to hold off this man. Cameron Waters on the inside, the Monster Energy Falcon. Little bit of push and shove. Sends Kostecki wide, gets the race lead. Craig Baird reckons this was just Shane Van Gisbergen all over. Knew exactly what he was doing, knew exactly what he had to do to fix the problem, did so, and was absolutely relentless in this race. Watch out for him again later on this evening, because he's qualified on pole position for our next race, Van Gisbergen. But victory goes to Cameron Waters in the Monster Energy Falcon.
Don't we love
Mustang.
those virtual donuts there from Cameron Waters? 2 podiums coming into this round, and now a race win to his name. He started from 10th on the grid and stands on the virtual top step of the podium.